These are probably not the kind of animals you'd expect to find at a Cornish agricultural college. That's Churchill, the bearded dragon. They've got locusts, beetles, and the sound of crickets fills the air. But where are the 280 millipedes? Well, they're in this tank, which isn't brilliant for television, so we've got some of them out. And here's one of them right here. Feels like a sort of living piece of Velcro going across your hands. In their native Seychelles, these guys are on the vulnerable list, which is one step below extinction.
They have problems with rats over there eating them, also traffic and people, unfortunately, because as soon as they get on the floor into the ground, they're very well camouflaged. So they've just found the numbers have just deteriorated over time.
The first Seychelles millipedes here came from London Zoo 8 years ago. The breeding success seems to be down to the habitat: chemical-free peat, freeze-sterilised bark, and good old Cornish fruit and veg.
And yeah, it's just they've just thrived in it, really.
So people thought they had 1,000 legs, but they haven't.
No, they've ranged. I mean, who Paul Soul has had to count their legs, but I think around 100 to 250. But they have pairs, so each segment has one pair of legs, and they work in a motion of a Mexican wave.
That's a lot of legs.
It is.
It's no use students and staff in this place being afraid of creepy crawlies.
I don't mind handling any one of them, to be honest. I was less confident at first, but now I've got more confident over them. I can handle different types of creepy crawlies, as you say.
Millipedes from Cornwall will now be offered to other breeding programmes across the country and perhaps even sent back to their native Seychelles. There's no shortage of volunteers amongst the staff here to take them. David George, BBC Spotlight, Camborne.
I am Dawn French, right? The dwarfish fuchsia jockey child.
30 million minutes is, according to Dawn French, roughly the amount of time she's spent on this planet. She says a good excuse for a one-woman show about her life.
I'm not only talking about myself in the show. I am trying to speak on behalf of plenty of women at my age and the things that can happen to you, by the time you're 56. An awful lot has happened to me. I've been married, I've been divorced, I've had some illness, I've lost my dad, I've lost my mum, and all the rich tapestry of life that happens to anybody who is this age. No more has happened to me than anyone else. It's just that I've tried to find a funny way to tell my stories.
In fact, her father took his own life when she was just 19, something which has had a huge effect on her whole family.
Anyone who has had a suicide in the family will know that a bomb goes off inside your family and it's very difficult to recover from. And I include that story in my show because I couldn't have a show about my family without my dad, who's a linchpin of our family, and I couldn't possibly exclude him from it. So, and I'm not scared to talk about difficult stuff. You were expecting a bloke, beard, Bible, bad breath.
Yes, that sort of thing.
Yeah. And instead you got a babe with a bobcat and a magnificent bosom.
In her show, she'll also talk about her career and some of her famous colleagues, such as Jennifer Saunders.
Really, I fell into my career by total accident, and it was because I met Jennifer. We shared a flat together. We didn't like each other for the first couple of weeks because we're very different. But then we realised that very difference was what was so great. And, we're like sisters today, to be honest. Boys are just revolting and horrid, aren't they? And really, we should just throw stones at them. I am relishing the chance to do this in front of the people that it's about. The show features an awful lot of West Country people. That's what I'm made of. And so, of course, for me, it's a more authentic experience to do that.
The show comes to the Southwest in October. Meanwhile, it's time for lunch.
Do you want to know what I'm having for lunch? I'm having a pasty, of course.
Local pasty?
Yeah, you bet. Homemade pasty.
Lovely.
It's been the same for years, but everything is about to change.
Very sad, really, to think after about 107 years, is it, it's been going. We said on the way down, this is the last time we are coming to this market,
People came from far and wide for the last ever auction at Holsworthy's historic market.
Surreal, I think, is how it feels. You're sort of standing back and looking into what's going on. There's a lot of people here today. Farmers are coming in with stock. They want to be part of history today. They want to have animals here to sell at the very last market to be held here on this site.
Livestock was originally sold in the town square before moving to the current site over 100 years ago. It's been sold now to pay for this, a £6 million market building on the edge of town. An investment that many argue was vital for the local economy.
There's probably a third of all people involved in some shape or form in farming in this area. If we took that out of the equation, there'd be an enormous gap in what's happening in terms of productivity in the area, in what's happening socially in the area as well as economically in this area.
The old market site has been bought by a housing developer and Tesco supermarket. Some local traders are concerned.
Big time worrying. We have to compete against a supermarket. We can't. We are individual traders. We all have our individual niche of what we sell, plants and stuff, and we're all small businesses.
No one from Tesco was available for comment, but the local business group say that the planned store could attract more people into town.
Is this it? This is your last beast to be sold through this ring, ladies and gentlemen.
Back at the market, as the last hammer falls, many are hoping the next 100 years will be as good as the last 100. Kirk England, BBC Spotlight, Holsworthy.
What a pair. By 3 party.
Business or pleasure? Business or pleasure? Well, for some of these tall ships, it's both. The workhorses of the past now appealing to the tourists of today. Pleasure is their business now.
And Falmouth has a long history of the docks adding to the wealth of the town. This is where the traders and merchants met in the mid-19th century to enjoy themselves. So what do the traders and merchants of today get out of ships bringing in British pounds?
To start with, those making the money are not just the hotels and campsites. They get just less than half the takings, 40p in the pound. 30p goes to bars and restaurants. The remainder is spent in shops. And some of those pennies end up in the pockets of businesses which aren't immediately obvious.
So Richard, we think of B&Bs and ice cream sellers making money out of tourism, but you're a furniture shop and you do too.
Oh, absolutely, yes, because Falmouth attracts so many people from outside the county and well, throughout Europe, I suppose, and there's lots of students down here and their parents come down to see them. And of course, fall in love with Falmouth and the local community and are happy to buy homes down here and to bring money into the local communities.
It's estimated the tall ships will bring at least £17 million into Cornwall. When the event was staged in 1998, we spoke to one shop owner.
We've got no traffic, people can walk around and it's a really nice atmosphere.
And we've been back to see her again.
That was me then in 1998 and we've had 2 more festivals since.
And how have they been?
We've been building on 1998's experience. 2008 was really successful and we're hoping...
2014?
So far, so good.
Well, look who's here. It's Malcolm Bell from Visit Cornwall, the old tourist board. These big events are increasingly important, you were telling me. Why is that?
Well, I think people are looking for a lot more. I mean, over 85% of our customers have been back over the last 5 years. They stay an average of 6 nights. And often what happens is people are very fond of Cornwall, but want to know another reason to come back. So events trigger that reason to come back. But
Does
also,
it help seal the deal?
It does, yeah. Rather like lots of things in life, you can be there thinking, oh, I'm going to buy that someday, or later. You suddenly think tall ships are on, another event's on, 4 weeks on, Glawen's on, and all of a sudden they want to come down that weekend.
And why isn't our coast and our countryside good enough? Why do they need a big attraction to come to?
I think, generally, we're all wanting a bit more from life generally. So it's not instead of the coast and the heritage and the culture, it's actually in addition to.
Did the builders of tall ships, barges or steam trains ever imagine their heavy industry would be light entertainment, aiding commerce centuries on? Simon Clemerson, BBC Spotlight, Falmouth.
The only way to get to the action.
You're strong.
These are tough cookies after all. Some of the women from Newquay Rowing Club giving lesser mortals a spin in their gig.
Ready and go!
This weekend, 96 crews from all over the country and as far afield as Holland will be racing in these waters. Newquay teams will be cranking it up.
We've got 4 crews entered for the ladies' weekend and we're hoping that all 4 crews will do particularly well. definitely hoping for at least one crew in the final 6.
Oh yeah.
Maybe 2 if we're lucky. And then we hope that most of our crews will make it through to day 2 because it's a knockout event.
There's always been a competitive element to gig rowing, going back years.
You might have a large sailing vessel that's coming into the waters and don't know where the rocks and the dangers are, and they would employ a pilot that was someone local that could navigate the waters to actually bring them safely into harbour. And obviously there'd be several pilots, and the first person that would get out to the vessel would be the person that would win the contract, if you like.
This scratch group has a teenager and vets, rowers who are 40 plus. There are even super vets. Gig rowing appeals to all ages.
It kind of awakens a drive within you, I think, just to win. You just want to win. And the camaraderie is amazing, and obviously it's great for fitness. And the social life's amazing with rowing as well. It's a really good sport.
The triangular course is 1.75 miles, so keep it tidy.